Hello, everyone. Nice to see you, Tal. I'll keep admitting people. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, depending on where in the world you are. Welcome. We're going to make a start simply because Una has an amazing amount of value to share with you. Before we make a start, I want to make introductions. And I'll start with an introduction about Churchill Leadership Group. Thank you for joining one of our regular webinars that is here to bring you value and practical value and insight. So people keep coming in here, so I'm just trying to admit them. If you don't know Churchill Leadership Group, next slide please, Una. We are a global organization. We operate across regions, North America, EMEA, Latin America, as well as Asia Pacific. We were started, our mission is really empowering talent to thrive, and we do it in 3 areas, predominantly working with corporate and government clients to help them increase organization capacity. So those are solutions that work across the whole organization, like building a coaching culture, improving employee engagement, change management. Then we also work with organizations to help their leaders be more effective with manager effectiveness, executive coaching, and we do a variety of team performance programs, working with teams over time to help them be more productive and sustainable performance. We do that through over 200 coaches, of which Una is one of those fabulous coaches. They also work as consultants, trainers, and facilitators, but each has their own specialty, and they all have a background of real-world leadership. So next slide, please, Una. Just wanted to give you a snapshot of some of the clients that we work with. Here are our technology and healthcare clients. Next slide, please, Una. And here are some of our service, retail, government, engineering, hospitality clients. So next slide. Una has over 12 years of tremendous experience. She is a certified and experienced executive coach, certified by the International Coaching Federation. She also acts working with her clients as both a facilitator and a trainer. She specializes in coaching skills for leaders to help coaches be great leader coaches, as well as in career and role transition, those important transitions that leaders make. She sets them up for success. As you can see, she works with some fabulous clients, including Biogen, the BBC, Pernod, the NHS, Ernst & Young, and more. Over to you, Una.
Well, thank you all for coming today. And thank you so much, Jane. I'm so grateful to be here and to be able to share some of my learning and my passion for the topic of resilience. And I'm really hopeful that we can do some really good thinking, and I can give you some tips and some ideas, and you can share some of your own, so that we come out of this extraordinary and very challenging time of change with sustaining our resilience, not just for this time, but going forward today and going forward into the new normal as it's now begun to be talked about. So I'm going to talk to you about really the nitty-gritty of what I hope we can do in terms of the agenda for this session. It's really to help you see and to understand even more, which many of you will. I don't want to teach my grandmother to suck eggs, as they say, but that resilience is about what we do in practice, really thinking about what we can do day to day, building those habits that will really sustain our well-being. And it's about helping you give yourself some real time in this hour to really think about what's already giving you energy, what's already supporting your well-being, and not least to think about what's next, what else, how else might I stretch myself in order to really ensure that I'm just not coping in this time of extraordinary change, but that I'm building my resilience so that I'm ready for the new normal when we come through this lockdown and through this time of change and huge uncertainty, as you know. How we're going to do that will come up now. So we're going to have a little bit of time to think about what that word means for each of us individually. What does that mean for you? How do you understand that? give yourself a little bit of space to think, how have I been doing in recent months? So that's a little bit of individual reflection time that we're going to put in here. Really help you to think, okay, so what has been really useful? Where am I getting my positive energy from? What is it that I need? I'm going to give you some information from the top research that's been done on the enablers of resilience. And you're going to get a chance to share with each other on what's working for you, what else you might want to do, because of course that's key, is you actually building connections here and sharing with each other. We learn so much from each other. And then of course, consider what your next step might be in terms of going forward to actually build your resilience even further. The key thing I want to say here is that we don't just pull the resilience out of the bag for the tough times. I think resilience is often thought about in terms of how people got through very big challenges. Resilience is something that is a tank that we need to support us no matter what's going on, no matter what our circumstances. So last, in terms of just setting up the scene, is creating that safe learning environment. Normally, obviously, there's an awful lot of you here today, and I'm very aware of that we can't really share in the way we normally would, where I'd get you all to feed in. But I do want you to feed into the chat box any of your personal objectives for today, and also to feed in what you need for a safe learning environment. So I've put down here some things that I always think are absolutely essential. Confidentiality, whatever you share today, whatever you share in the chat, whatever you share in your breakout rooms, which we'll put you in, that stays here. That it's a sensitivity and respect for what other people feel able to share. The respect for diversity of perspective. All of you are coming from such different circumstances and have your own personal challenges, which are relative to you. So we don't know when we walk into this space what other people are dealing with, and just being respectful of all the many different challenges that each one of us are facing. And to share generously while also protecting yourself, and only sharing as much as you feel comfortable with, and listening. I mean, so much of how we really do our best generative thinking is about how we listen for each other and how we listen to ourselves. So make sure when you're in your breakouts to make sure that everyone generously gets a chance to have a voice. And we're going to talk about the importance of being present in a moment in terms of it being key for resilience. So for this hour, if you can turn off from the other many distractions that are around us, and not least from the tech that's around us all the time, have fun. I mean, if we aren't enjoying our learning, then we're not doing our best learning. So I'm really going to encourage you to have some fun. Yeah, I think that's just about it for that. And I would really encourage you all to start putting anything in chat even now. It will be our main form of communication with me today, and I will be looking at it. So this is what we're going to do first, and I'll be handing you over in a moment to Jane, who's been fantastic in helping me with that breakout. So what I'm going to ask of you is, you're going to be put into breakout rooms of not more than 4 in your breakout room. You may not know those people. So, you know, it's a little bit like, oh, I'm getting to know these people for the first time. Don't be shy. Just talk to each other about, you know, what resilience means to you, what that term means to you. And obviously say hello and share your name and a little bit. But we only are giving 5 minutes for this warm up. And it's for you to think about what you understand by that term resilience. So we're giving you 5 minutes, and I'm now going to hand over to Jane, who's going to put you into your breakout rooms.
Thank you, Una. I'm going to break into rooms so everyone's a 3 or a 4. And then I'm also going to put the question in the chat. Please join your room. When you join your room, remember to come off mute and come off your video so you can really have an intimate discussion.
So folks, I really hope that that was an interesting conversation, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to share in chat some of what came out of that, and I'll have a look at what you say in chat. The only reason we're not talking to each other is because we potentially have up to 70 people here, so it's not possible to ask you to come off your mute and talk at the moment, because we have a lot of people coming on this call. So resilience is according to the 10 years of research done by the Resilience Engine, this is a definition that's out there now based on an awful lot of research, which is that resilience is your ability to adapt. It is your capacity for change. And I'm really curious how that lands with you, considering what might have come up for you. What I will say about that is the key word here, one of the key words here is adapt. So it is not about being tough. It is not about being totally in control. It's actually about having agility. It is the opposite of being tough, in fact, because toughness at its worst is all about getting rigid. And when things get rigid, they can snap. It's not about rigidity. It's about adaptability, flexibility, agility, adapting to new circumstances. And oh my goodness, have we all had to work out how best to adapt in the last 6 weeks to an extraordinary new situation for us all. And so if we are really resilient and our resilience is high, our capacity is high to manage that change, to adapt to that change. So I'm really curious to see if any of you put anything in the chat box on what anyone wants to share, what comes up for them when they read that, and how it relates to, or how it resonates with anything you were thinking or talking about in your rooms. I've got a quiet, That's interesting. So I've been saying that for him, resilience means grit. And that's quite interesting, because there's something about grit that I feel comes across as tough, but grit might not mean that to you. Someone here is saying that Marlene nailed it with adaptable comments. Now, that's interesting. Someone's saying, would you agree that to be resilient, you need to feel some pain? I think what I would say about that resilience is that to be resilient, you allow yourself to notice your emotions, to accept your emotions, and also to have a compassion and acceptance, not just for your own emotions, but for those of others. An awful lot of this is about having an awareness. And we learn so much from learning about our own emotional state, how we react to things, how we need to notice that, and how we need to also have a sense of acceptance. I've been saying your grit to me means never giving up. I think what we're ability to bounce back, very interesting. I think what the hope is, and what I feel is very important. It's not just about bouncing back and then going back to coping and bouncing back. It's about actually sustaining high levels of resilience as much as possible, so you don't slip back to coping and then back to bouncing back and coping, so that there's more sustainability and steadiness. There's some great stuff here, and it's great to see everyone sharing. And bouncing forward does sound really, really fun, doesn't it? There's something really enjoyable about that sense. I see a big white hare or a rabbit bouncing forward. I'm going to move forward because we've got lots of things going on, and I'm going to give you now a moment on your own. I'm going to explain this metaphor to you. Thank you for what you shared so far, and ask you to spend a little bit of time reflecting on your own. So basically, our resilience is like a river. The water level in a river can be high, it can be low, it goes up and down, and so too can our resilience. So at its best, our resilience is high, like the water in the river, the level of the water in the river. And you're seeing right above those rocks, there's a real sense of flow and ease. Things are moving very comfortably. Things feel easeful. If the water gets a little bit lower, you might see some of those rocks, and you might even be ducking or diving, moving about a bit to avoid rocks. And then if your resilience level gets lower still, you might actually be hitting some rocks. Things could feel a little bit, a little bit sore. So you're possibly just coping there. And if things are getting really stressful and you're really suffering with low resilience, could be your water level, the water level in the river is really low. It's really scratchy. Things are very difficult. And at its absolute worst, there's very little water movement in the river at all. And you're sitting on the banks. That would be a place of breakdown. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to think about your own resilience river since January of this year. So I'm going to give you 4 minutes now about to go away and just be with yourself, and you can turn off your video if you need more time to reflect on this, and write some notes, maybe put a little time chart together, or draw your own resilience river and think about how your resilience has been from January to today, the 30th of April, from the beginning of January, thinking also about your energy. Your energy levels and your resilience levels are highly correlated. So give yourselves 4 minutes now, and then I'll bring you back just to think about how you've been doing in terms of sustaining your resilience, what's been going on. So you've just got about 30 seconds, folks, to tie up your thinking. Of course, this is something you can continue to use this metaphor going forward in the weeks and months to just check in how your resilience river is, what the levels of water in your resilience river are like. But I am going to bring you back shortly. Okay.
You know, people are really enjoying this metaphor with the water. We've got
Yeah.
rivers, we've got dams, streams.
Yeah.
It's
Uh,
great that you've made it so visual.
yeah. And it's lovely that someone said that they'd had a holiday. I think it was Fiona. I'm delighted for you that your river overflow with Fiona. I'm so pleased to hear that. There's nothing like taking some rest. And we will be talking about that in a moment. Folks, I bet you've got lots of thoughts and you can keep sharing them. I'm going to, someone else was saying there, I'm glad to hear some of you are really thriving and others of you have good days and bad ones. I've heard some people saying there's a little bit of anxiety creeps in and their energy levels do shift. So it's all very personal, and thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to move on now to talk to you about some key enablers to resilience as defined by Jenny Campbell in her book, The Resilience Dynamic, that came out recently, and she has done 10 years of research into this. So you're going to get a time to share a lot of what you've put in chat, and I want to feed into the next breakout conversation these key enablers to resilience, so you can bring those into your conversation in the breakout in a moment. Being present. So this is one of the top enablers to your resilience, according to the research that Jenny Campbell has done on this. This is key. Being present is really about being right here, right now, whatever the situation. It allows you to be open. It allows you to notice first and then to accept. And of course, it allows you, when you are able to be with yourself, to notice not just what's going on for you, but what's going on for others. Acceptance of self, acceptance of others. The story I'll give you is of a senior, a CEO of a director, a very successful man, always striving for the next best thing. He's someone I'm working with currently. He came to me after having at a crossroads really, and things had got a little bumpy despite all his successes. And he was really keen just to discover what's the next big thing for me. Where am I going to get my next adrenaline hit? When am I going to get my next project that's going to give me that energy? And he wasn't getting anywhere with his thinking. Between us, we decided, because he was feeling quite stressed, more so than normal, that maybe if he did a lot, he was one of these people who went to the gym every day and did triathlons and lots of high energy input in terms of what he did for himself to stay fit and strong. But we decided between us that maybe a walk every single day would help him. And he started to do this gentle walk first thing in the morning and developed a habit. And on his walk, he found a bench, a park bench in that park he walked in, and he decided to sit on it. And he developed a habit over the months we've been working together of sitting on his park bench. We were reviewing where he got to recently, and he said that he has found his clarity and his focus from simply being on the park bench and allowing that time to be quiet with himself. And that is where he just rediscovered exactly what his purpose is and exactly what the next step is in terms of his business and his success. So it does, we know about mindfulness, but whatever is going to work for you, it could be sitting on a park bench. It could be whatever works for you. It doesn't have to be formal type of meditation or mindfulness. It's whatever allows you to be present. For me, at the moment, it's walking in my local park, 10 minutes away from here, normally early in the morning, and just being in the woods with the trees, because it's a woodland. And I just walk for about 30 minutes and allow myself to be with the bird song and with the trees as they come into leaf in the spring. So it really is very personal. How we develop a resilience habit is very personal to each of us. Maximizing your energy divides into 4 parts. I'm going to start with the first one of those, which is your physical energy. So that involves 2 really important elements. One is sleep and one is physical activity. So sleep, there's a lot of books out there. There's a new book out that came out in the last year or two called Why We Sleep. I haven't read it yet, but everyone's raving about it. there are really important neurological reasons why we need to sleep. Sleep and rest is key to sustaining our resilience tank of energy, but exercise and the amount of exercise and the intensity is quite important too, so that we are doing something cardiovascular. Those things are obviously key to our physical exercise. Then to our emotional energy, that is going to be around the things that give us joy. What gives you joy? Where do you get your joy? Another client of mine, who I would say, another very successful man working in the digital, in the commercial side of emerging digital markets, he was really at a very tough place. And he decided to go back to his guitar and join bands and get into his music again. It has given him joy. There's a mixture of getting joy from the music and the connection with others that have a passion for music. What gives you your joy? For me, it's dancing. And that is absolutely key. Connection with others and dancing is where I get that emotional joy. Mental energy is the next one. And that obviously is key. And there's a lot, we talk about that a lot in leadership circles. And when I work with leaders like yourselves, where, how are you making sure to do your best work to the highest performance while leaving something left in the tank? What time of day is best for you? When do you do your best work? How many decisions can you really make in a day? There is a point at which we no longer are actually proactive. We actually are not able to make our best decisions when we get tired. When is that point for you? Understanding your own energy rhythms and how they work throughout the day, and being really clear of that in terms of how you prioritize what you do mentally. And last but not least is spiritual. And that is highly personal to all of us. Some people have religion, they have a religion to support them in terms of feeding their soul. How do you feed your soul? What helps you? So that is highly personal to each one of us. And that can be secular, how we feed our soul. For some of it, it's writing a gratefulness diary. It's just sitting around the table with family or with friends and saying, what were you grateful for today? Or just reflecting on your own. So that's really up to each one of us where we find that. Learning is absolutely key. We cannot adapt. Our ability to adapt is dependent on us learning. As we learn, adapting doesn't happen without learning. It's absolutely key. And also with learning, what do we maybe need to unlearn? What stories are we sticking with that are no longer useful? What habits are actually blocking us rather than supporting us now? So an awful lot of that learning is growing our self-awareness and then growing our awareness of others and adapting accordingly. Having purpose is last but not least. All of us, many of us will have heard the importance of having a shared purpose and meaning if we're to lead our organizations, to lead our teams, to lead our people. We need to be able to communicate, own that purpose, and help others own that purpose. With ourselves personally, we need to know what gives us meaning and be living a life that is aligned with our values and our own core sense of purpose. That will sustain our resilience. So with those 4 things in mind, and I'm going to put you, I'll have a look at chat when you're in your breakout rooms. I'm going to bring you over to the next slide. In your breakout rooms, having looked at those enablers, and those enablers are about being present, maximizing your energy, learning, and purpose. The questions are for you in your breakouts. What are you doing that is already giving you that positive energy and sustaining your well-being? And how else might you be? Or what more might you do to support your well-being? So I'm going to again hand over to the wonderful Jane, who is going to transport you into breakout rooms, and you will have 12 minutes to have a conversation based on feeding in what's come up for you so far and feeding in those enablers to see what you come up with. I look forward to hearing from you in the chat room when you get back.
Thank you, Una. I am going to put everyone into a chat room for 12 minutes. I have posted the 2 questions that you're going to reflect on in your chat room in the breakout room, in the chat room, and I'm also going to add it to your breakout room. See you in a while. Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. And I hope you had some really rich conversations there. I'm going to really encourage you to put your thoughts on what's come up for you, and even some commitments you might have made. So what's been working for you and what else might you do? Please get that into the chat room for us to have a look at. But I am, because we are running tight for time, and in order to honor time, I'm going to move on a little bit, because one of the big things we always need to ask ourselves is, what might get in the way? This is really pumping me up, and I've had some great conversations, and I've decided what my next step's going to be to really sustain my resilience at this time, and to move forward and to go into the new normal feeling really ready for it. But what might get in the way? And here is what the resilience engine research is telling us about that. So it's around the dangers. The key barriers to our resilience are weak or no boundaries. So that's really, really interesting. That's about our tendency and people's tendency to say yes all the time. Sometimes that's because they're people pleasers. Sometimes that's because they feel really useful when they're always busy. And you'll notice those people in your team or in your organization, because they're the busy people that people always ask to do more. But the danger there is, at the end of the day, that could lead to burnout, or that you just cannot effectively perform highly if you are trying to do everything and also doing other people's work for them, or over helping others. So you have to watch out for that, and you'll spot those people in your organization, because at the end of the day, they could end up getting cranky or fed up and complaining about other people, because actually they're doing work that is not part of their role. So it's about really learning to have strong boundaries, say no. When we say no, we're saying yes to something else. I love that line. I read that somewhere, and I just think it's brilliant. And the next one is about capacity expectations being too high. I put my hand up, and that's about having really high expectations of ourselves, having unrealistically high expectations of ourselves. And sometimes that can lead to us also expecting the same from others. So whatever our expectation is, we expect other people to reach that. If we do that, we are often overstretching ourselves. It's about having expectations that are realistic. And if we have those high expectations, sometimes we freeze and don't try things because we're going to that level of perfectionism. It's either perfect, it's brilliant, or I'm not doing it at all. And the do-it-yourself mindset is another big trap that many of us fall into, not realizing that our best way forward and our high performance is born out of a collaborative approach. And this is so important in organizations and teams these days. Leadership is the best sort of leadership is collaborative leadership. The best sort of teams are those that collaborate with each other, that ask each other help, and that have trust at the heart of that can ask for help. So I'm asking you to think for yourself, where might I get trapped in one of those barriers? Which barrier there resonates for me? And what might I need to think about as I move forward with what I'm going to do for myself to sustain my resilience? And I'm just having a quick read here. So somebody's trying to understand themselves. Somebody's doing lots of cleaning, which is good, and they seem to be enjoying it. That's Danielle. And Camila, give back and support others is what has given me the most. Absolutely. That connection with others, that sense of purpose, meaning we get from being there for others. I totally understand that. And also getting down and doing a bit of scrubbing, get that as well. Especially when we're stuck in lockdown with our own families. It can give us a sense of although it's not a being thing, getting down and doing a bit of cleaning, it can give us a sense of space. So it's great to read all your different comments and what's working for you. I want to end this on saying we're in a cocoon situation in lockdown, and one day when we come out of lockdown, I'm hoping that we're all going to blossom. And so I've put up the image of the cocoon to the butterfly, and really encourage you to think about what one step you're going to take. And it's all about one small move, big change. What one small step might you take to grow your resilience based on what's come out of today's conversation? And please do put that in the chat. We look forward to reading. If you write it down in chat, you're more likely to possibly really commit to it. What we write down, we're more likely to commit to. And I see that someone's saying they do struggle to say no. And so many of us do. I work with clients all the time that I support them in learning to say no and saying yes to something that will sustain them and their well-being and resilience more. I'm going to end this now so that we've got some space for Jane, who so kindly, and Churchill have so kindly hosted today, to just share some things. So it's over to you, Jane, and thank you, a huge thank you to everyone who's come today. I wish you all stay well, and that you go into the new normal feeling that you have now got some new things in your toolkit to support your resilience.
So Una, don't go yet, because we want you to, in case we have a couple of minutes for questions. Yes, if you could move the slide forward, that would be great. And one more so we can see the title. Thank you. So if any of you on the line want to go deeper in your organization or broader for more people, please contact Churchill. It's very easy to contact us on the website. And Coach Una does a deeper 90-minute, 2-hour version of this that is tailored to your organization, where you can really go deep and figure out what's going on with your people. Up to 30 people for the Zoom for $3,500, she can do that. So if you're interested in that for your organization, please contact us via the website. Next slide, please, Una. And next again, so we can see the title.
Oh, I'm sorry. Got it.
One more click.
Oh.
All right, so many of you work with Churchill, and I just want to let you know we do lots of programs around the globe, and we can do that because of the different specialties of our coaches, our 200 coaches. The 5 on the screen on the left are our core signature programs that we're absolutely the best at, we're differentiated at, and we do the most. So Leader is Great Coach, to build a coaching culture and capability across your leaders in your organization so that you coach and give greater feedback at all times. Executive coaching, one-off needs, or as a managed service where we provide you coaches across the globe. Team coaching, manager effectiveness, 1.0 and 2.0, we do 2 versions of that. And then we're a strengths-based, strengths really accelerated organization. So strengths-based team, strengths-based division, strengths-based organization is a organizational program we do as well. And on the right, you see what it feels like to work with the Churchill team, what clients tell us, the experience, and what differentiates us from other organizations. Next slide, please, Una. And then we can wrap up. If you, yeah, just click one more time. Thank you. So,
sorry.
Back one. So you'll also notice on our website, we have a page specifically with Corona resources for you that we've pivoted and put together quickly. Some of those are free. Some of them are for purchase, and there's a variety there. So if you're still looking for resources to support yourself through the COVID-19 journey, please visit that, and the rest of our solutions are on the main pages. Let's just take a look in case there are any outstanding questions for you, Una.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Where are we? Don't see a question. Ivan's very kindly put up a link to his gratitude. So thank you very much for that, for sharing that, Ivan. I can't actually see any questions, but thank you for your feedback.
You're welcome. We'll save the chat. I'm going to launch a poll. If you can answer the poll, that will give us some feedback. Yes, okay. It is launched now. And as people do that, I want to say thank you again to everyone for joining. A huge thanks for Una for being willing to do this. Complimentary to everyone that's here. And it has been recorded, so you'll get access because you registered to the recording to look at it again. In addition, we have more wellness webinars coming up with mindfulness, which tie beautifully on what Una talked about, resilience, staying present in the moment to make you stronger and sustainably stronger. So we'll have some of those coming up soon. And thank you all very much indeed. We've got 3 minutes left. Una, any final words?
Oh, just to thank everyone for coming, connecting, sharing, because I think I think one of the biggest things that can help sustain our resilience is being with each other and sharing like we have today. And for you to openly share your stories, your thoughts, and what's helping you, it's a privilege for me to be able to be with you in doing that. And I wish everybody well. And I so hope when we come out of this new normal, I may be able to connect with some of you again.
Thank you again, Una. Have a great day, everyone. Stay healthy, still safe, and goodbye on behalf of Churchill.